At my cousin's graduation, they applauded him endlessly while treating me like I hadn't moved forward a single inch. So I chose that moment to drop my own success story, and their applause turned into stunned silence. My cousin Jake had just walked across that stage, diploma in hand, and my entire family was losing their minds. Standing ovation tears, my aunt literally sobbing into her hands like he'd just cured cancer instead of graduating community college at 26. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with my MBA, my six-figure salary, my corner office, and nobody had clapped for me like that ever. Jake's really turned his around. My mom whispered to my dad, loud enough for half the auditorium to hear. After all that trouble in high school, look at him now. I wanted to scream. I'd graduated summa laude. I'd never been arrested, never dropped out, never put my parents through. But Jake gets a participation trophy and suddenly he's the family golden boy. That's when I saw her. Sarah was sitting 3 rows ahead, recording Jake's moment on her phone. Her dark hair caught the light, and when she turned to smile at someone, I felt something open in my chest. She was beautiful in that effortless way that made forget where were. My wife Emma squeezed my hand. Isn't this sweet? I'm so proud of him, Emma. Sweet, loyal Emma who'd supported me through business school, who celebrated every promotion, who never asked for the spotlight. Who deserved so much better than what I was about to become. But in that moment, watching Jake bask in praise I'd never received, something started growing in my mind. I deserved recognition too. I deserved to feel special. I deserved to be wanted by someone who looked at me the way the audience looked at Jake. The reception was at my aunt's house. Typical family gathering, kids running around, uncles arguing about sports, that one cousin who brings politics. I should have been mingling, should have been the supportive family member. Instead, I found gravitating towards Sarah. She was Jake's friend from his program, studying to be a nurse. When I introduced as Jake's successful cousin, the words tasted bitter, but she laughed and it was like hearing music after years of silence. The business guy, right? Jake mentioned. Pretty impressive climbing the corporate ladder so young. Finally, someone who recognized my achievements. We started talking by the punch bowl. Innocent enough. She asked about my work, seemed genuinely interested when I explained market analysis and strategic planning. Emma was across the room, helping my aunt with the cake, glancing over occasionally with that trusting smile that should have stopped me cold. Wife seems lovely, Sarah said following my guilty glance. She is, I said, and she was. God, she was. Sometimes I wonder if I deserve her. Sarah tilted her head. Why would say that? I should have walked away then. Should have gone to Emma, taken her hand, remembered what I had instead of focusing on what I lacked. But the attention felt like I don't know. Sometimes feel invisible in own no. Like her checking all the boxes but nobody notices. She nodded like she understood. I get that. It's hard when the steady one. People take it for granted. The conversation continued. We talked about dreams, about feeling overlooked, about the weight of always being the responsible one. She laughed at my jokes. She listened when I complained about work stress. She made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in months. When Emma came over to introduce herself, I felt like a shaking hands between them. 2 good women, and I was already planning something that would destroy everything. Sarah's in Jake's program. I explained, my voice steady despite my racing heart. We were just talking about career stuff. Emma smiled warmly. That's so nice. It's great that Jake has such supportive friends. After Emma walked away to check on the kids' table, Sarah looked at me with something I convinced was understanding. She's lucky to have someone who cares so much about success, she said. I should have heard the warning in those words. Should have recognized that anyone worth my time wouldn't have said that with such a strange undertone. But I was already too far gone, too caught in feeling special. Do want to get some air? I asked. Outside, under the string lights my aunt had hung for the party, everything felt different. The noise from inside was muffled. Sarah looked beautiful in the soft glow. And I felt important in a way I hadn't in years. This is nice, she said. Way from all the chaos. Yeah, I agreed. Sometimes need a break from playing the role everyone expects. We weren't touching. We weren't doing anything wrong yet. But I could feel the moment building. Like standing on the edge of a cliff and feeling the ground start to crumble. Jake talks about a lot, she said. Says of the success story of the family. Doesn't feel like it today, I admitted. Feels like I could disappear and nobody would notice until they needed someone to pick the tab. She stepped closer. I'd notice. That's when it happened. Not a dramatic movie moment but something quieter and more devastating. A choice disguised as inevitability. She was close enough that I could smell her perfume. Close enough that when she looked at me, I forgot every reason why this was wrong. Her. Just for a second. Just long enough to cross a line I could never uncross. When we broke apart, she looked as surprised as I felt. But not sorry. Not horrified, if anything she looked pleased. I should go back inside, she said, but she didn't move. Yeah, I said, me too. But we stood there another minute, and in that minute, I made the second terrible choice. I asked for her number. She gave it to me. Walking back into that house, seeing Emma chatting with my mom, watching Jake out candles while everyone cheered, I felt like I was viewing my through glass. Everything looked the same, but nothing would ever be the same. Emma drove us home that night, talking excitedly about the party, about how proud she was of Jake, about how nice his friend Sarah seemed. She really seemed to connect with, Emma said innocently. It's sweet how encouraged her career goals. I made appropriate sounds of agreement while staring out the passenger window, Sarah's number burning a hole in my phone. That night, lying next to my sleeping wife, I told it was just a moment of weakness. One didn't mean anything. I'd delete the number. I'd forget it happened. But I didn't delete the number, and 3 days later, when the family group chat was still buzzing about Jake's achievement and my own accomplishments felt invisible again, I sent the text that would destroy everything. Hey, it's Mike from the party. Would like to get coffee sometime. She responded in less than 5 minutes. I'd love to. I stared at that message until the words blurred together, knowing I was about to step off a cliff but somehow unable to stop from jumping. The coffee date was supposed to be innocent. That's what I told walking into that little cafe downtown, 15 minutes early cause I was nervous like some teenager. Just coffee. Just talking. Just two adults having a harmless conversation. Sarah was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth wearing a sundress that made her look effortless and perfect. She smiled when she saw me, and I felt that same dangerous rush from the party. I wasn't sure to actually show, she said as I sat down. Why wouldn't I? Well, she glanced at my wedding ring, seemed like the type who overthinks things. She wasn't wrong. I'd spent 3 days overthinking everything. Rehearsing conversations, imagining scenarios, telling I was just making a friend. But sitting across from her, I knew I was lying to. We talked for 2 hours. About her nursing program, about my work frustrations, about movies and books and dreams we'd had as kids. She was easy to talk to in a way that felt dangerous. Emma and I had comfortable conversations, the kind that come with 7 years together. But this felt electric. Can I ask something? Sarah said as we were getting ready to leave. Sure. At the party seemed, I don't know, sad. Like we're carrying something heavy. I should have deflected. Should have made a joke or changed the subject. Instead I found telling her everything. How invisible I felt in my family. How my achievements never seemed to matter. How Emma was wonderful but our relationship had become routine, predictable. It sounds lonely, she said softly. It is. That's when she reached across the table and touched my hand. Just for a second, but long enough to send electricity my arm. Shouldn't have to feel invisible. Walking to our cars, she asked if I wanted to meet again next week. I said yes before my rational brain could interfere. The lies started immediately. How was lunch with Marcus? Emma asked that night. Marcus, my fictional coworker who'd become my alibi. Good, just work stuff. Emma smiled and went back to her book. She trusted me completely. After 7 years together, why wouldn't she? The second coffee date became a walk in the park. The walk became dinner at a restaurant across town where nobody would recognize us. Each time, I told we were just friends. Each time the line got blurrier, or different than I expected. Sarah said over dinner. We were sitting closer than friends should, and she kept touching my arm when she laughed. Different how? More real. Most successful guys are either boring or arrogant, or neither. The compliment hit exactly where I was weakest. Emma loved me, but she'd been saying the same things for years. This felt fresh, intoxicating. Maybe just bring out something different in me, I said. The flirting was getting obvious, dangerous, but I couldn't stop. That night Emma was already asleep when I got home. I stood in our bedroom doorway watching her peaceful face. Guilt eating at my stomach. She'd made my favorite dinner. Left a sweet note in my lunch. Texted me twice during the day just to say she was thinking about me. I was destroying the someone who loved me unconditionally. And for what? The attention of someone I barely knew. But then my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Thank for tonight. Make me feel special. The guilt evaporated, replaced by that addictive rush of being wanted. Week 3, Sarah suggested we meet at her apartment to watch a movie. I knew what that meant. We both did. I stood outside her door for 10 minutes, key fob in my hand, marriage in the balance. I could have walked away, called Emma, gone home, confessed everything and begged forgiveness. Instead I knocked. Her apartment was small but cozy, candles lit, already open. She'd put effort into this moment and I felt both flattered and terrified. I'm glad came, she said, handing me a glass. Me too. We didn't make it through the opening credits. It started with sitting too close on her couch, her head on my shoulder, my hand in her hair. Then she looked at me with those eyes, and 7 years of marriage, 7 years of trust, 7 years of building a with Emma dissolved like sugar in rain. I her properly this time, no hesitation, no pulling back. And when she me back, hungry and desperate, I let fall completely. We didn't sleep together that night. We came closer than I'd ever come to betraying Emma so completely. But some final thread of conscience held me back. I should go, I whispered against her neck. Should, she whispered back. I left but barely. And I knew I wouldn't have that much willpower next time. The drive home was. Every red light gave me more time to think about what I'd done, what I was doing, where this was heading. I felt like I was watching someone else's, some stranger making choices I couldn't understand. Emma was waiting when I walked in at midnight. How was guys' night? She asked, looking from her laptop. Fine. Good, we lost track of time. She studied my face for a moment and my heart stopped. Did she know? Could she see the guilt written across my features? Look tired, honey. Long week. Yeah, really long. She closed her laptop and came over to hug me. I stood there like a statue, afraid that if I hugged her back, she'd somehow absorb the truth through my skin. I missed tonight, she said into my chest. I missed too. The lie came out so easily it scared me. That weekend was Emma's sister's birthday party. Family gathering just like the one where this whole mess started. But instead of feeling invisible, I felt like everyone could see exactly what I'd done. Emma's mom complimented my shirt. Emma's dad asked about work. Emma's sister thanked me for the thoughtful gift Emma had picked out. They included me, appreciated me, treated me like family. And all I could think about was Sarah. I excused to the bathroom and found a text waiting, missing today. When can I see again? I stared at that message while Emma's nephew banged on the door, while Emma's laughter drifted from the kitchen, while the I was destroying continued spinning around me. I typed back soon. That night Emma curled against me in bed, her hand on my chest, trusting and warm and completely unaware that her husband had become a stranger. I love R, she murmured sleepily. Me too, I whispered to the ceiling. But I was already planning when I could see Sarah again. Already crafting the lies that would get me out of the house. Already choosing her over the woman whose heart's steady and sure against my ribs. I closed my eyes and tried to remember why I'd started this. The applause, the feeling invisible, the need to feel special. It all seemed so small now compared to what I was about to lose. But I couldn't stop. I was addicted to feeling wanted, to being someone's first choice instead of someone's comfortable habit. 3 days later, I went back to Sarah's apartment. This time I didn't leave until morning. And Emma was awake when I finally came home, sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a look I'd never seen before. "We need to talk," she said. 4 words that ended my as I knew it. Emma sat at our kitchen table still in her pajamas, but there was nothing sleepy about her eyes. They were sharp, focused and filled with the pain I'd put there. "Where were last night?" she asked. I opened my mouth to lie again. Marcus had a crisis. Work emergency. Traffic. The excuses were lined like dominoes, ready to fall from my tongue. But something in her voice stopped me. Because Marcus called here at 10 p.m. looking for. Said we're supposed to meet him for drinks but never showed. The kitchen felt like it was tilting. 7 years of marriage, and I'd never seen Emma look at me like this. Like I was a stranger. Like I was dangerous. She set down her coffee cup with shaking hands. Because I've been sitting here since midnight trying to understand why my husband would lie about where he's spending his nights. I sat down across from her. The same table where we'd eaten breakfast 1,000 times, where we'd planned our future, where she'd shown me the engagement ring she wanted, laughing because I was supposed to be the one surprising her. "There's someone else," I said. The words hung in the air like smoke. Once spoken, they couldn't be taken back. Emma didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't throw anything. She just nodded slowly like she'd been expecting this moment for weeks. "How long?" "Who, Emma?" "How long, Mike?" "A month. Since Jake's graduation." Her face crumpled then, just for a second before she pulled it back together. "Jake's graduation." Where complained the whole way home about feeling unappreciated. The shame hit me like a physical. "It's not fault, Pa. Isn't it?" She stood, pacing to the window. "Because I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what I did wrong. What I could have done differently. Was I not supportive enough? Not attractive enough? Not interesting enough? Who am I? No, God, no. Hurt or perfect? Don't." Her voice was sharp. "Don't dare tell me I'm perfect while sleeping with someone else." I wanted to reach for her, but she stepped away like I was contagious. "Who is she?" "Doesn't matter. It matters to me." "Who is she, Sarah?" "From the party. Jake's friend." Emma's eyes went wide. "The nursing student, the one I was nice to, the one I said seemed sweet." I nodded, hating more with each second. I shook her hand. Emma whispered. I welcomed her. And the whole time, she didn't finish the sentence. "Didn't need to." "I want out," she said. "Today, Emma, please, we can work through this. I'll end it. I'll do whatever it takes." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Like did whatever it took to be faithful. Like did whatever it took to honor our marriage. I had no answer for that. She left the room then, and I heard her on the phone with her sister. Crying now, finally. Heartbroken sobs that carried down the hallway and through the walls I'd thought would always shelter us. I packed 2 suitcases and drove to a hotel. Sent Sarah a text. "Emma knows. Everything's falling apart," she called immediately. "Okay. Do want to come over?" The offer should have been comforting. Instead it felt hollow, like a band-aid on a severed artery. "I don't know what I want anymore." "Well, can't go back now," she said. "Maybe this is the universe giving permission to choose what makes happy." What makes happy? Like happiness was something could just reach out and grab, consequences be. But I went to her apartment anyway. Spent 3 days there while Emma changed the locks, canceled the credit cards, called a lawyer. On day 4, Sarah and I had our first, or different, she said over dinner. Distant. "My marriage just ended. I'm not exactly feeling festive." I thought wanted this, said felt invisible with her. I do. It's just what? I looked at her across the table, trying to recapture that electric feeling from our first coffee date. But all I could see was Emma's face when I'd told her the truth. All I could hear were her sobs through the hotel room wall. "I destroyed someone who loved me," I said. Sarah's expression hardened. "She'll get over it. People do. Like Emma was just some obstacle we'd overcome, not a human being whose world I'd shattered for kicks." That's when I started to see Sarah clearly for the first time. The way she talked about Emma like she was disposable. The way she'd pursued a married man without a second thought. The way she'd helped me lie for weeks and felt no guilt about it. "What kind of person I asked. "Excuse me. What kind of person helps someone cheat on their wife?" Her eyes flashed. "The kind who gives what actually want instead of what thinks should want." But I was starting to realize I didn't know what I wanted anymore. The relationship lasted 2 more weeks. Turned out, when away the excitement of sneaking around, when removed the forbidden thrill, there wasn't much left between us. We had nothing in common except the destruction we'd caused together. Sarah dumped me on a Tuesday. "This isn't working," she said. Too guilty, too damaged. I need someone who can be present. Present, like I hadn't given everything to be with her. I moved into a studio apartment across town. Emma kept the house, the dog, the friends that we'd built. I got every other weekend and a reputation as the guy who away a good marriage for a fling. The family found out, of course. My mom called disappointed. My dad just sighed. Jake, ironically, was the only one who seemed genuinely angry. "She was my friend," he said when he confronted me. "Sarah was my friend, and used her to marriage." I didn't use anyone. Really. Because from where I'm sitting, saw something wanted and took it, no matter who got. He wasn't wrong. The divorce was final 6 months later. I signed papers that dissolved 7 years like they'd never happened. Emma's lawyer was thorough, efficient, merciless. I lost half of everything, which felt generous considering what I'd done. I saw Emma one last time. At the courthouse. She looked smaller somehow, like grief had worn her down to her essential parts, but she also looked stronger, resolved. I hope it was worth it, she said as we waited for our lawyers. It wasn't. She nodded like she'd expected that answer. I know. Emma, don't. Please, just don't. She walked away then, and I watched her go, understanding finally what I'd lost. Not just a wife, but my best friend, my partner. The person who'd believed in me when I couldn't believe in. I'd traded all of that for a few weeks of feeling special. A year later, I heard through the family grapevine that Emma was engaged to someone new. A teacher she'd met through volunteer work. Someone who apparently thinks she hangs the moon and isn't shy about saying so. I felt something when I heard that news, not jealousy exactly, more like recognition. He sees what I couldn't see. He appreciates what I took for granted. Sarah texted me last month, said she was getting married, wanted to clear the air. I didn't respond. There's nothing to clear, we both know what we did. I'm alone now in ways I didn't know were possible. Not just single, but fundamentally alone. Because when break trust like I did, when choose selfishness over love, don't just lose the person betrayed. Lose the version of that was capable of being loved like that. My family still invites me to gatherings, but it's different now. Polite, careful. I'm the cautionary tale they'll tell their kids someday. The reminder that good things can be destroyed by choices. Last month was Jake's birthday party. Same house, same string lights, same family. But when someone mentioned Emma, how happy she seemed with her fiancé, the conversation died. Everyone looked anywhere but at me. I left early, drove home to my empty apartment, and realized something that hit me like a physical I'd never hear genuine applause for again. Not from people who matter. Because authentic appreciation requires authentic respect, and I'd burned that bridge to ash. The graduation ceremony where this all started. I felt invisible because I was measuring my worth by other people's reactions. But Emma had always seen me, had always celebrated my wins, supported my dreams, made me feel valuable just by choosing me every single day for 7 years. I was never invisible. I just wasn't paying attention to the right audience. Now I know what invisible actually feels like. It feels like sitting alone in a studio apartment at 32, realizing that the person who loved most in the world was right there the whole time, and destroyed her trying to find something already had. The worst part, I can't even be angry at anyone but Sarah didn't me. My family didn't make me feel small. Emma didn't fail me. I did this. All of it. Every choice, every lie, every moment of selfishness that led to this hollow existence. And now when people talk about love, about commitment, about what it means to be faithful, I'm not in the conversation. I'm the example of what not to do. I traded 7 years of real love for 6 weeks of feeling special, and now I get to spend the rest of my knowing exactly how much that cost me.